Imagine finding a diary that doesn't tell someone else's story, but yours, word for word, step by step. I found one. It was buried deep inside an abandoned house. At first, I thought it was a coincidence, until I saw tomorrow's date written in its pages, describing exactly how I will die tonight. My name is Ethan Cole. I've always been drawn to places people whisper about: abandoned houses, cursed woods, forgotten rooms where stories linger like dust. Most people laugh at the tales, dismissing them as legends. But I've learned something important. Every story hides a seed of truth. That's why, a few weeks ago, I found myself standing before an old house on the edge of a small, forgotten town. Locals refused to go near it. They said a family once lived there but vanished in a single night. Some claimed they heard screams. Others swore they saw figures moving in the windows long after the place was abandoned. When I asked for details, the villagers grew silent, eyes heavy with warnings. So of course, I had to see it for myself. Armed with nothing but a lantern and my recorder, I stepped inside. The air was thick, damp, carrying the smell of rotting wood and something else, something metallic, almost like old blood. The silence was crushing. My heartbeat echoed louder than my footsteps. I moved from room to room, dust swirling in the lantern's glow. Everything was broken, forgotten, lifeless, until I found it. A single room unlike the rest, its floor made of wood, not stone or dirt. I set the lantern down and crouched, running my fingers across the floorboards. One plank shifted under my touch, loose, my pulse quickened. With a bit of effort, I pried it open. Beneath, hidden in darkness, something waited. My hand brushed against cracked leather. I pulled it free. It was a diary. Black, torn at the edges, thick with dust. I opened it. The handwriting inside was sharp and hurried, belonging to a woman who had once lived here. Once lived here. This house is not empty, she had written. Every night I hear whispers, knocks at the door with no one there. In the mirrors I see things that do not belong to me. My husband tells me it's nothing, but I know what I feel. This house is watching us. Page after page revealed her terror. But then my hands froze. On one page was a date, tomorrow's date. The entry said, "Tonight a stranger will enter this house. He will lift the floorboard and find this diary. And as he reads these very words, someone will be standing right behind him." I felt the blood drain from my face. Slowly, my head turned. The room was empty. Shadows stretched across the walls. And then I heard it, a whisper, right next to my ear. "Put it back. It isn't yours." I dropped the diary, lantern flickering as my breath quickened. No one was there, yet the pages fluttered open on their own. A single sentence stared back at me. "If you are reading this, it's already too late." The clock on my wrist read 3 a.m. The air grew heavier. Then, above me, footsteps, slow, deliberate, heavy. I should have left, but something in me refused. I climbed the stairs, each creak echoing like a warning. At the top was a single door, slightly ajar. Inside stood a tall mirror. Its frame was cracked, its surface fogged. In front of it a chair, empty. As I stepped in, the door slammed shut behind me. My lantern wavered, casting broken light across the room. I stared at the mirror, my reflection stared back. And then, it smiled, but I hadn't. With shaking hands, I opened the diary once more. Words were appearing, fresh ink etching itself across the page, as if invisible hands were writing them. "What you've seen, what you've read. It is no longer her story, it is yours. Tonight, you will not survive. Tomorrow's date marks your end." I felt a presence behind me. The air grew hot against my ear, breath that wasn't mine. I turned to the mirror. My reflection was no longer alone. A dark figure loomed behind me, its eyes hollow, its grin endless. The room was empty, yet in the glass, it was waiting. And then my lantern went out. Darkness swallowed me whole.